Hey guys, it's your girl, Mrs. R. Yeah, you're here. Let's talk about it. I'm here in Pahrump at Dry Creek Saloon. I am actually with one of the part owners of Dry Creek Saloon, and you know what? She has a lot to tell about where the truth lies. And we're going to talk to her today, guys, because she has an explosive story to tell. And I want you to be here to listen to it. Hey, Ria, how are you today?
I'm good.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Even though I know about you, I want to hear it from you. And you know, another thing, guys, I want to make sure that you get this book because she wrote a book and it's called Where the Truth Lies. You're talking about an explosive book. Let me tell you, I read the book in 2 hours and 20 minutes because she has a story to tell. And that's where the truth lies. Not everybody's truth is their truth or our truth. But her truth is where the truth lies. Let's talk about it with Ria Schumacher. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Let's talk about it. How are you today?
I'm good.
Good. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Ria, and tell me about the things that you went through.
Well, as you said, I'm a co-owner of Dry Creek Saloon. So I've reached in a place of my life where I think I'm successful and happy, free.
Okay, free. A little louder.
It wasn't always that way.
Right.
I served 12 years in prison.
12 years?
12 years.
Wow.
12 years and 3 months.
12 years and 3 months. That's what I read. 12 years and 3 months.
Yes.
You know what? You look great.
Thank you.
And I know the stories that you went through, and I know the things that you went through just by reading them. But in saying that, I want you to tell people what you went through from the age of 5 up to the time you went to prison. You went to prison when you were 16 years old. Is that correct?
I was arrested at 16 and sentenced at 17.
17, right. But the thing about it was that during that time, from the age of 5, start talking to me. Tell me what happened there from your soul.
I was born into a situation with a family who was a single mom. She was a severe alcoholic. And by the time I was 5, she was in and out of a lot of relationships, different husbands, abusive, and things progressively got worse as I aged. So by about age 9 or 10, it was pretty bad. It was a lot of beatings, neglect.
Were the beatings on you or were they on your mom?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
So in saying that, what age did that start?
That started about 6, 7 years old.
6 or 7. Now, I'm going to tell you, when I was reading the book, I heard at age 5, you wanted to be a teacher.
I did.
Really? And I heard you used to grade other kids' papers and make them take them home and everything like that. Tell me what inspired you to be a teacher.
It was because I think that when I started going to elementary school, the nicest person to me in my life at the time was my teachers. And being at school was where I felt safe, and my teacher was amazing. And I just wanted to be just like her.
And you wanted to be like her. Now, how long did you do that?
I remember doing that quite a bit as a child, like probably through the 2nd, 3rd grade. I just wanted to be a teacher.
And then your mother seen inspiration in you as being this smart child that wanted to do these things. But at that time, were you going through situations with abuse when you wanted to be a teacher?
Yeah.
And then you changed your mind and you dealt with it. When you went to school, school was actually your escape. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And so when you came home, how did you feel? I mean, when you came home and you left school, was school actually the safe haven for you?
It was.
Yeah. Okay. So when you came home, what happened?
It just a lot of, like, my mother wasn't there. She was drunk a lot, on drugs, had different boyfriends in and out of her life. She got married a couple times, but they wouldn't stay with her very long. And it was hectic, a lot of screaming and yelling all the time. There wasn't always food on the table or in the fridge.
Okay.
So we lived in Chicago at the time too, and we grew up out there. And one of the things I remember that I did a lot when I was young was me and my sister would go to the parks, and the families there would be barbecuing and playing football and frisbee, and they would be everywhere, all over the park. And me and my sister would always find the families who were barbecuing, and we would get up the nerve who was going to go ask them if we could eat with them.
Oh,
And it was always the Black families doing barbecues that would give us plates, and not just one. They would send us home with plates. So every day we would get up and go to the park and figure out where we could find a barbecue for that day.
And where you were going to eat and how you were going to make it, basically. Now, I know I was reading on further, and when you became, I think it was at the age of 10, you changed your mind again, was it?
Yeah.
And at the age of 10, you wanted to be somebody else, Miss Ria.
Yeah.
Who did you want to be? What did you want to be?
A model. I wanted to be Cindy Crawford and do things that she was doing. And I would see her on shows feeding the poor kids, and something about that just stayed with me. And I wanted to be her. And I thought that if I could grow up and be like her, then I wouldn't ever be hungry again or see other kids be hungry.
Right. And then I also read that you're a redhead, so you wanted your hair to be like Lucille Ball, so you wanted to dye it a little bit redder so that you could act like you were Lucille Ball. Is that correct? So was she one of your idols?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. My grandma watched a lot of her on TV. So whenever I was at my grandma's, she always had her on TV, and I would always watch the shows with her, and I would mimic some of her shows and try to memorize her lines and things like that.
You probably did a good job because you seemed like you could. And I'm thinking about it as you were a kid and you were wanting to do all these things, and you were going through hard times, and you were going through abuse and being beaten, and your mom was being beaten. I mean, that had to affect your mentality and make you want to just leave the family or something, get away, because I can't even understand how you could still stay, but you had no choice but to stay.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
And so you still had ideas. It never stopped you because you still had inspirations. You still had things that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it looked like you just kept living your life through it. Mm-hmm. So by age 11, I'm thinking it was that you wanted to be an ice skater, wasn't it? And you were good at it too, weren't you?
Yeah.
And your parents or your mom, then your grandma?
My mom's second husband's parents paid for me to do a summer of ice skating lessons. And I was able to go out nearly every day through that summer.
That's good. That's good. And then we changed again at the age of, I want to say 15. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. You changed again what you wanted to be. So to me, you never stopped thinking about what you wanted to be and the situation that you wanted to come out of, because you knew where you were at and you knew what you were going through. You knew there was abuse in the house. There were beatings. There were alcoholism. There were drugs. And you endured it all. But you never stopped dreaming. Even today, it looks to me that you have never quit dreaming. And Ria intends to be what Ria wants to be. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. So in saying that, I'm looking at it all over. I just think for me, after reading the story, this has been such an inspirational story. I mean, this is a book that you cannot put down. When you pick it up, you will not put it down. I was in the bed and I said, oh, I'm going to read this before I go to bed. I was just going to read some of it, guys. But after I got into her story, her soul, her spirit, everything about what she went through as a child and as an adult and being in prison, it encaptured my soul. So that's why I wanted to do this story today, because this is an important story. It's where the truth lies. And that's why I want to talk to her about her truth, her childhood. The reasons I'm bringing you back to her childhood, because I want you to understand that children are a product of their environment. And when they're in an environment that is uncontrollable, that has alcoholism, it has drugism in it, your children more than likely will be a product of that environment. So in seeing that, make sure you stay in tune with your children. Make sure you love them. Make sure you go out and give to them every day. Small baseball games, things that are important. That's what you want to do, so you don't have to go through the detrimental stages. Doesn't mean that it won't happen. It just means that it has a better chance of not happening. Isn't that right, Miss Ria?
Absolutely.
So let's go back to 15. Tell me about when 15 started. And the great thing about it right now is that you're a part restaurant owner. Yeah. But through your book, you also, your first job was that you were a waitress. Is that correct?
Yes.
At the restaurant.
Yes.
So imagine that. You now own your own restaurant. What about it?
Yeah,
Talk to me about it.
it feels good. It feels good to be successful and work hard and be able to see, you know, the results of working hard. I had my first job at 15 because I had to have a job or I wouldn't eat or have clothes. My mom wasn't in a position to buy me clothes or shoes, and you know, to this day I have little knobs on the back of my feet because for years I wore shoes that didn't fit. You know, and just little stuff like that, you know, but at 15 I had to work. I wouldn't have anything.
So at the age of 15, you were working in the restaurant. What was the name of the restaurant?
Kurt's Restaurant.
Kurt's Restaurant. And you met a gentleman by the name of Moon. He left you $100 tip. Is that correct?
Yes.
$100 tip. Imagine that. So you had to look into that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So in getting that $100 tip, what did it make you feel like? Did it make you feel rich? How did you feel? What were your...
It did. You know, at 15, and this was in the early 90s, for me, I had never had a $100 bill in my hand before. And I thought all I did was give this guy coffee. You know, this is the job for me.
That's a job for anybody, honey.
So I was excited and thought, you know, here's money that I never had before.
Right. You were able to eat. You were able to have the clothes and everything that you wanted. So you and Moon became friends somewhat, right? And it went on. But then afterwards, things start trickling down at the age of 15. Now, I know that you had a girlfriend, and I'm trying to recall her name. What was your girlfriend's name or your best friend's name that you ran away with?
Kristen.
Kristen. Kristen and you were pretty close. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And Kristen was all in all. I don't know if she came from the life that you came from.
A little bit. But
I know that she wanted to be with you and you wanted to be with her.
Yeah.
And y'all were heading to California. Is that correct? Because you hadn't had enough of the abuse. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. What made you come to that conclusion? Now, I know your mom's boyfriend was a Fiero. Is that what it was?
Fiero.
And you wind up taking that to get away. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So in saying that, what made you think about getting away? Why did you want to run? And why did you want to take your mom's boyfriend's car to do it?
You know, I wanted to just get as far away from where I was growing up as fast as I could. And I thought that the car would get me away fast.
Yeah, it would.
And far. And there was no hesitation. And the biggest part of that was my mom had relocated again during my childhood. We moved around probably 70 times.
70?
Yeah. And she moved again, and the town that we moved to was a very small, very racist community. And we had grown up in Chicago, and I guess growing up in Chicago, I had a little bit of a different accent than these kids in this town were used to, and I was different. And all of a sudden, I was being called Wigger. I was made fun of all the time.
Wigger.
Yeah.
Meaning the opposite. We all know that, but okay.
And I was getting just bullied and picked on. It was horrible. I went through a lot growing up poor, but I had never been picked on in that kind of way.
Right.
And to be honest, even growing up in a city like Chicago, I had never even heard the word Wigger. And I had to ask somebody, why are they calling it that? You know, so it mentally really did something to me.
It scarred you.
And I didn't want to see any of those kids.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be near the high school. I didn't want to be there. And aside from what was going on at home, it was just everything combined. And so I wanted to run away.
And you found your friend to run away with. So in saying that, I mean, what did she say when, I know you brought the idea to her because you were the one going to take the car.
I did. Well, she was another one of the girls in high school who had black friends. And so they picked on her a lot too. And I thought, she doesn't like it here either.
Yeah.
You know, she'll probably want to go too. And when I told her how I felt and that I was going to leave, she said, I want to go too.
Let's go. So now, was she older than you?
We're the same age.
Same age?
Actually, she was a year older than me.
Okay. Because I'm thinking to myself, you were what? You were 15 and I was
16. Just turned 16 and she had just turned 17.
Okay, I get it now. So in saying that, okay, I understand when I go back. So you guys wind up taking off and you were heading to California. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you didn't make it quite as far as you thought you were going to make it, correct? How far did you make it? Was it Texas? Where was it? Texas. Yeah. Now, what happened? The car actually stopped and wouldn't start. Is that correct?
The computer chip in the car wore out, and it wouldn't. This car just stopped running altogether. It wouldn't restart or nothing.
Imagine that. You got your perfect getaway, and the car won't start.
Yeah.
Wow. I just have to say that. So, in saying that, a trucker picked you up. And he was black too, right? Everybody, you hanging around. I have to laugh about it, but you know, that's your life. You know, what they say, we are speckled birds. We don't know what we are. We're just who we are. We're people. Yeah. And that's all that matters, being people, you know. And you had somebody that thought enough of you to pick up you and your friend, Kristen, right? You had somebody that thought enough of you guys. Now, I also read, and tell me if it's true, you guys, he said, let me give you some money so you can take a shower. Yeah. Were y'all smelling that bad?
Maybe.
How long had you been gone?
It had been 3 or 4 days.
3 or 4. I can imagine what you smelled like. Let me take a drink on that one. I'm sorry. So in saying that, you know, I take my hats off to you. All of my hats. You want to know why? Because you had the courage to do it. Yeah. A lot of people are stuck in places that they don't know how to get out of. Kids have been in abusive situations. They've been in abusive families, and they don't know how to leave. So they stick. And a lot of times things that happen is the child either becomes more abused or they get killed. So in saying that, if you need help, please reach out to all the circuits to get help. If you need help, you can always call on Mrs. R Hot at gmail.com or Mr. R at the Mr. R Show at yahoo.com. Please give us an email to let us know so that we can get you some help. You know, that to me is just like, my passion is kids. I have a foundation that's called Mrs. R Keeping Kids Hot. And what it is I make sure I do blankets by hand to take to the hospitals or wherever they need to go if you have a sick child or even a sick adult, because those adults were children before, you know, they're adults. So my thing is I try to love everybody. I want to give back. And that's why the foundation became Mrs. R Keeping Kids Hot. Aww. You know, yeah, because there's so much out there. It's so much out here in life. Life is lifing people right now. You know, life liked you and life was unfair to you. Because when I read it, where the truth lies, your truth lies within you, and I see your truth. I feel you. I feel you. I just want you to know that.
Thank you.
And that's why this is important to me. But now that you've been picked up, the cops come, you take your shower, you get back, and the cops pull the truck over. How did that happen?
So at the same truck stop that he stopped with us to take the shower, after we were all done showering, he told us to wait for him at the restaurant outside, and then he got us food. And so we all ate. Well, while we were eating, another truck driver called the Arizona State Police, and they said that he thought that he had young children.
That he was taken. Yeah. Of course he did. So. But, you know, and unfortunately, you had to leave because you were underage. Is that correct? Yes. And your friend got to go on. So I have questions. So the police took you, and your friend got to go on to California. Is that correct? Now, when she got to go on to California, did she reach back out to you, or what happened?
I didn't ever hear from her again because she ended up staying in California, and then a couple months later I was arrested for the murder. Oh. But when I got out of prison, I was always curious about that. And I found her on social media, on Facebook, and I asked her, you know, what ever happened then? And she actually did go to California to her aunt's and couldn't stay there. And she ended up staying with him and his family for months. With the truck driver and his family.
No, but I'm saying her own family wouldn't let her stay with them.
Yeah.
Sometimes family just ain't family, is it?
Yeah.
So she had the truck driver that allowed him to imagine that.
No.
Imagine that. That's the goodness of somebody's heart, the soul. Imagine that. And then you went on back. They took you back, and you had to go face jail time?
No, I had to. So the Arizona police that day called my mom, And she told them that she couldn't afford to come get me or send for me to come home. So I was in an orphanage in Arizona for about 2 weeks until the state paid for a Greyhound bus ticket for me to go home, back home to my mother.
Okay. Now, when you see yourself going back home, how did you feel? And when you got there, how were you greeted by your mother?
My mom and her then boyfriend.
Gus.
No,
not
boyfriend
Gus.
this time was Jim.
Jim, yeah.
Picked me up, and
the one you stole the car from.
Yeah.
Okay.
They picked me up from the Greyhound bus station, and my mom told me that I wasn't allowed at her house anymore. That they would give me a ride somewhere, but that was it. So I didn't know really where to go or what to do. So this boy that I had liked in high school that I was boyfriend and girlfriends with, I walked to his house and waited for him and his mom to get home.
So, okay. So then when you came home, how long did you stay?
I didn't go home then.
But when you left the orphanage, you went back home?
No, my mom wouldn't let me come home.
That's right.
So I stayed 2 nights at my boyfriend's house, and then my mom's boyfriend pressed charges for the stolen car.
Imagine that.
Yeah, and then I had to turn myself in for the stolen car.
And your mom allowed him to press the charges?
Yeah.
Did she get rid of him afterwards?
No.
She should have got rid of him. I mean, because there was no reason for him to press the charges against you. He got his car back. You're back. That's the main thing. You're back. You're safe.
Yeah.
And that's where the abuse come in. And that's where parents have to look. Do I make the choice for my child? Or do I make the choice for this man that's a boyfriend, not even a husband?
Yeah.
So I'm not knocking your mom by any means. But what I'm telling you people is that take a look. Take a look at the fact that if you're in a relationship and you have a boyfriend that is abusing your child or even wanting to press charges against your child, and you've gotten your car back and she's back whole, why would you press charges against her to ruin her life? Why? Why? Why would you press charges against any child to ruin their life if it's not detrimental? I mean, for you to do this speaks lowly of you. You understand what I'm saying? And that, once again, is where it comes into what you produce in a child, what you produce around your environment. Make your environment whole. Make your environment complete. Make sure your children are protected.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry you had to go to that once again. You know, so the charges were pressed against you. And now you're going to go to jail, or are you just going to have a record?
I had to go to juvenile jail.
For how long?
I was there for a month. And I think they gave me a probation, something like that, and I was ordered to stay living with my mother.
Now, how did you feel at that time about your mom?
I didn't want to live with her.
Did you feel that she shouldn't have allowed it to happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was some regret there. And how long did you stay there with her?
I was at home another 2 or 3 months, and then I was arrested for the murder.
Yeah. So now we're getting ready to get into the explosive part. Guys, I just wanted to tell you about Ria, the great person that Ria really is, and let you look into her heart and her soul. So when I say this, now you're getting ready to find out what took place at 16 years old, and then she was in prison at 17 years old. To listen to her story, and I'm going to let you listen to her story because she's the only one can tell where the truth lies, and the truth lies with her. Listen to her story and understand everything that happens in life. Go ahead, Miss Ria.
Well, I was forced to go move back at home with my mother.
A little bit louder.
And things were really, really rocky there. She was drinking heavily. I couldn't sign myself back into school. I was a dropout, high school dropout. I was trying to sign myself up for GED classes, like just do anything. And I was at the time selling joints, marijuana, small amounts. And I was being contacted by one of her ex-boyfriends to help him get some marijuana. And I thought what would be a night of trying to score him some marijuana turned into a full first-degree murder. So,
A full first-degree murder that you knew nothing about.
yeah.
So in saying that, I know that you went over to his house, you left your house, and you really didn't want to go that night. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Was his name Gus?
Yeah.
You didn't want to go out.
Well, Gus sent Joe to my house to pick me up to take him to get the marijuana, and my sister had just had a baby and had a couple of her friends over. And so I told her friends, tell him I'm not here. And I hid in the back room. But when he got there, he was beating on the door and he woke up the baby. So it's like everybody forgot that I said, tell him I'm not here. And they were just like, you need to go and get him away from the door. He's beating on the door. So he needs to go, and so do you, because he's here for you.
So they threw you into that environment of going with Gus and Joe to go to Gus, right? So once again, you're thrown into an environment that you had to go into that you didn't want to go into. So it sounds like to me that every time you get somewhere, somebody's pulling you into something different. Is that correct?
Yeah.
They're pulling you a different way. And the way that they're pulling you is not even a way that you want to go.
Yeah.
But your mind is not allowing you, or your mouth is not allowing you to say, no, I don't want to do it. Yeah. Because of the kind of person you are in your heart. You want to make sure everybody has everything that they need. Is that correct?
Yeah.
You know, I remember a part, and I'm going to go back to Moon and everything, but I remember a part where I was reading and they were talking about you at 8 years old were unstrapping, cutting you the straps off of your mom. That was it Jim? Jim, or who was that had done?
Greg.
Greg had tied the mom up in tape. Is that correct? And you had to cut all of the tape off of her and didn't want to cut her. I can't even imagine that, you know, that someone at age 8 would even see something like that. And I'm skipping places because the book does skip places too, but it takes you back to the realism of what's going on. And to watch and to even read into a 8-year-old cutting tape off of her mother to make sure she's not being rolled down the steps because she was being rolled back and forth, that is unacceptable. That is treacherous to live in something like that. But this lady right here, Miss Ria, did that. She cut the tapes off of her mom at age 8. Imagine that. So once again, we're going back to the product of the environment you're in and where she wind up going. So I want you to tell the story about what took place and how it took place. I know you served 12 years and 3 months, and you were able to get off when you were going to serve over 30 years.
Yeah.
So I want you to talk about it in your story.
Well, I that night, Gus and his brother Joe ultimately wanted to rob Moon, and during the robbery, they shot him. And I just couldn't believe it. This was Gus.
But you went to the door.
I did.
And you knocked on the door, and the reason you knocked on the door is because you had a gun in the back of your back. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And he had on a trench coat, right? So if you didn't knock on that door, would he have killed you?
I don't know.
But you didn't want to take that chance of him killing you, right? Yeah, but I mean, I would have said the same thing, correct?
Yeah.
You know? So this is the person that you had dealt with, Moon, and Moon knew you. But you seen everything, and you were there, and you had to serve time for something that you didn't do, but you were in it as far as what?
I was there, and the accountability rule in Illinois that legally they could hold me accountable because I didn't do anything to stop the crime.
What could you do to stop the crime if you had a gun to your back? What could you have done?
Nothing.
Nothing? So I understand that, and you actually probably live that every day because you've seen it. You were there. You were a part of it. And saying that you didn't do it, but you were a part of it. So you had to serve time just like they had to serve time. Yeah. The good thing is that you were able to get off. And I know you and I were talking, and we were talking about how you wrote the judge every day. And then another thing I read also, and tell me if it's true, when the judge did sentence you, he smiled as he was sentencing you, right? And you didn't know what to think about it, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what to think about it today?
No, I don't. I don't. see any humor in a situation like that. Not just because it is me directly, but just imagining any 17-year-old losing their life that way. I don't think that would make me smile as a person.
Right.
So I don't know, but I never forgot it, and it made me feel like when he smiled,
I got you.
it was hurtful.
But it did it feel like I got you, you did this, or did it just feel like, why did he smile? Or was it, I got you?
Yeah.
You know, you did it. But he's not the one that sentenced you. He's only the judge that gave the sentence, handed the sentence down to the people that were on the jury.
No, I didn't have a jury.
You didn't?
Mm-mm.
He was the only one?
Yeah.
So he made the decision.
Yeah.
So you didn't understand it then.
Mm-mm.
Okay. But then didn't you write him every day or
Almost.
for months?
For years.
Saying, hey, I didn't do this.
Yeah.
Years. I didn't do this.
Yeah.
And finally, I think you changed his heart. Is that
And
correct?
I think there was one year, I don't remember what year it was. It was early on in the 90s. I actually, for one whole year, I wrote him almost every day.
Every day. You didn't have anything else to do, did you? But to write him, is that correct?
Yeah.
But you knew your innocence. So I know your family didn't come to court when you were sentenced. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
You were there by yourself. Tell me about that. Tell me how it felt.
It felt awful because I could see in the courtroom other girls who were in the jail with me, and I could see their families. And I knew that nobody was going to be there, and I knew that my mom had to work. My sister was 16 and a new mom. I don't even think she had her own car at the time. My grandma was living in another state. There just was no one. So it was that alone feeling that I had always had, but it seemed like it was intensified that day. That, wow, this is really what alone feels like.
And in your story, I could see and I heard that you were only looking for love, fun, friends. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just
And
wanted
to be
a
happy.
teenager.
You just wanted to fit in, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So during that time, I know you've been out since 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome home, because that's a great feeling to be free, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And you've done things with yourself since then. And saying that, what would you say freedom is to you now?
Oh man, it's so many things. You know, just being able to make choices, being able to open my fridge in the middle of the night and get a glass of milk if that's what I want. A big thing for me was being able to walk outside barefoot.
Yes, I read that.
And I finally had that day where I was running around the yard barefoot, and got to know what that felt like again, and being able to watch my kids grow.
And you have 4 kids now, right?
Yeah.
What are their ages?
I have a son, Tristan. He just made 17 a few days ago.
Oh.
I have a 15-year-old daughter and twins that are 10.
Imagine that. Miss Ria, imagine that life. You made it.
Yeah.
You are still your own actress. You are still your own person. You get to be anything that you want to be, because you got out in 12 years and 3 months.
Yeah.
And that's a praise God moment. I'm sorry, I have to say that, but that's a praise God moment. You understand what I'm saying? So in saying that, tell me what you've done so far since you've been out these years, since 2008. Tell me about you.
Well, I feel I like to say that I hit the ground running, because I realized fast that I had missed a lot.
Yeah.
When I was arrested, there was no internet yet, and there was no cell phones. When I was arrested, we only had the big black car phone.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Oh yes, I'm sad now because I was supposed to invest in that car phone and I didn't.
See, so when you fast forward 12 years later, and when I got out and all these things existed, it was very overwhelming. Like the first day that I was out, my sister picked me up and she took me in Walmart, handed me a debit card that had a few $100s on it for me, and she said, "Go get what you need. I'll be in the car." And I grabbed her arm, and I said,
You didn't know,
"Raina, I don't know what to do with this card," And she looked at me and she's like, "You don't know how to use the debit machine, do you?" And I'm like, "What is a debit machine?" You know, so it was just every little thing I had to learn until, like, another example, I was applying for a job and they said, we need your email. And I'm like,
What is an email?
what's an email? And I didn't want to say that on the phone. So I would just end conversations. And I actually, to find out what an email was, I went to my local library.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the only thing I could think of to do. I went to the local library.
See how smart you are?
And I went up to the counter and the lady said, can I help you? And I said, can you tell me what is an email? She looked at me like I had 9 heads, and she's like, what? I'm like, I tried to get a job. They said I need an email, and I don't know what that is. And she said, you really don't know what an email is? And I said, no. And she said, how old are you? You know, so we went through these back and forth things. And finally I told her, look, I did a long time in prison. You know, I just got out a couple of weeks ago and I'm trying to do these things. And she said, oh my God, you really don't know what the internet or anything is, do you? And I was like, no. And she said, I'm going to help you.
Aw.
And she was like, I get off work in like 30 minutes. I'll sit at the computer with you and show you all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So finally I had somebody, and it was a librarian, you know, and she got off work. We checked into the computer. She helped me figure out my email. And she was so excited that my email could be my first and last name, that it wasn't taken yet.
Yes.
You know, and she's like, wow, this is cool. You even get your first and last name.
Yeah.
Nobody gets this anymore. You always got to put like a 1 after it.
Yeah.
You know, so I didn't really know what that meant either, but I was just like, okay.
You roll with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so to this day, 15, 20 years later, that's still my email.
Okay.
So my one little email I set up.
That's good.
But it was just stuff like that, you know, so much that I knew that I had to catch up, and I knew I had to do it quick or more time was going to pass me by.
Mm-hmm.
So my first like 3 months at home, I didn't make friends. I didn't try to go do stuff. I didn't try to go do anything I had missed out on. I just had to catch up.
Right.
And it took time, and it took those 90 days, and I was able to find a job, you know, and start building a life for myself. And it took a lot because nobody wanted to give me a job.
Right.
And then I would get hired, and then the background check would come back within a few weeks, and they had to let me go. It was a lot of struggling, but I just didn't give up. You know, like every year they denied my appeal. So every time they denied me a job, I would remind myself of that. And I would tell myself, I just have to keep trying, because eventually somebody's going to say yes, just like the judge did.
Yes.
So I would constantly remind myself of that and just keep going and try again and again and again, until one day I was sitting with a group of friends, and I said, you guys are going to see me on the news tomorrow. Like, I can't take this anymore. Nobody will give me a job. And my friend was like, what are you going to do to get on the news? But I didn't tell anybody my plan, but my plan was already in my head. And I was like, watch the breaking news tomorrow. You're going to see me on the news. And I left it at that. Well, the next morning I woke up, went to Walmart, got 2 big poster boards. And on one of them, I wrote my resume, which was very short because I didn't have much work experience.
Correct.
And on the other one was, please hire me, St. Louis, with my name and phone number. And I went to the corner, Grand and Gravois in St. Louis. And right at the caddy corner was Channel 5 News. KSDK Channel 5 News window was right there where I could see them. And I held up my signs.
You know what to do.
By 12 o'clock, I was on the breaking news. And by about 5 o'clock that night, I had 20 job offers.
Really?
So that was my first time getting a decent paying job.
Okay.
And they were willing to train me, and it was great. And, you know, I don't know what made me think to do that, other than that I kept seeing people holding, like, you know, the money signs.
I need money.
You know, and I thought, people keep stopping and giving them money. Like, maybe somebody will stop and give me a job.
Yeah.
You know, so it worked. And after that, I was able to save money and go to college. And
wow, you went to college too?
I did. I
Oh,
did
wow.
a lot of online college.
Wow,
but
that's
I was
great.
able to do that.
Imagine that. And they thought you were a murderer? Come on now. Let's go.
And then I actually opened up my first business with a cleaning company.
Okay.
And it was after going to Dr. Phil.
Okay.
Telling him about my struggles with trying to, you know, being college educated and still not being able to get a decent job and just all this stuff, you know. And he actually said, you know, work for yourself.
Work for yourself.
What can you do to provide a service for the community?
Correct.
And people had always told me that I was a great cleaner. So I thought, I'll try cleaning. And it just took off. It was word of mouth, and before you knew it, people were calling me Mary Poppins because I could come into any commercial cleaning situation and get it done faster and more efficiently than anybody else. So I started making really good money.
Okay.
And then this was the first time in my life that I had really good money.
Okay.
So, you know, I went from there. I took that business and that money and turned it into a small construction company.
Okay.
And I got that degree in prison. So that made me feel really proud, you know, because I was like, I took something that I learned here and I actually applied it to life.
So you got something good from prison.
Yeah.
All right. Keep talking about it.
So, well, and I also in prison got a commercial custodial degree.
Okay.
So that kind of tied into the cleaning company too. And then from there, I did a lot of construction. It was really hard work and a lot of long hours. And I knew that I didn't want to do that forever. So I took that money and got an Airbnb house, and I did that business for a long time and did it really well. And then met my kid's dad along the way. Had twins. And we're not together, but we're the best of friends.
That's good.
And he got into a situation where he was offered a really good career position in Vegas. So at that time, I was doing well where I was doing, but I agreed to follow him to Vegas so that our kids wouldn't have to be flying back and forth and seeing each other and stuff.
Correct.
So I came out here and made my opportunities out here.
And what were the opportunities out here, Miss Ria?
You know, it was more difficult out here because I really didn't know anybody. I didn't have any family here, or anybody that I could lean on for networking, or so here I took what little money I had and followed my dream. And I'm an avid outdoor person. I love like ATVing and kayaking and being in nature and all these things. And so I thought, if I had a dream job, what would it be? And my dream job would be being able to do outdoor stuff.
Okay.
So I followed the path to open a business doing just that, giving people guided tours on outdoor activities.
Right.
And I spent 2 to 3 years getting federally licensed for that, things like that. And then through that, I kind of realized I love being a business developer. And I had other friends come at me and help me open up a cleaning company, and they were in different states. And so I would charge people a little bit of money to do that. I would do their like LLC filings for them and stuff like that. And then I got challenged to open a bar and restaurant. And I thought, well, I like business developing and this could be fun, and I love to cook, so I could probably make this happen.
You make a mean steak, girl.
You know, so it's like the opportunity presented itself for me, and the door was open, and I was blessed to be able to do it. So I've also went back and spoke at the prison I was in. I went with my parole agent, and I asked her if she would go back with me, and she said, I've never done anything like this with any of my parolees before. And she was like, but you were the best one I ever had, so I think I'll do it with you. And we went back into the prison where I was for 10 years, and we spoke to the women there. I warned them about not being able to get a job when they got out and how to prepare for that and overcome it. And I went back twice, and it was good. It was weird the first time, you know, being in there and having the doors locked behind me again. And stuff. But it felt so good, you know, to give them girls hope and let them see that here I was in there for murder, and I would tell everybody, I didn't do this. I'm going to go home one day. And, for, you know, they laugh at you in there and stuff. But to be able to go back and really show them, look, girls, I got out. And I got my own money now and my own business and my own job. And you can too. You know, and for me, that was what kind of also the inspiration to finish the book. You know, get the story out there so that like other women who might be in their own demons in their own life as an adult can look back and heal those things that they went through growing up so that they can really heal and let go of toxicity and live a good life and be a better mom or a better daughter or a better sister or just a better friend or better period for yourself. So it was important to me to be able to get the story out so that if anybody, even if you haven't done 12 years in prison, if you were ever abused or neglected, or even if you're just somebody who's never been through that, but you notice these signs in other children.
Right.
And you can be that voice to be their voice, the voice for the voiceless, kind of. And if you see a kid being abused, speak up.
Right.
You know, don't be afraid to do that. Speak up.
Right.
You know, and if it's you being abused, I just feel like it's a story that could maybe help somebody. And if I would have read a story like that when I was a kid, I could have maybe found a different avenue for help, or felt at least like I'm not the only one going through this.
Or I got somewhere to go.
You know, yeah.
That would be what I would say too. You know, I would say that your personality, your endurance, your inspiration, these are great things that you can give other people because you've had that life. You've had the life of the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful. You've had it all and you're still doing it. And life is beautiful for you right now. So I would ask you, how could people get in contact with you? I know that you're an owner of the, you know, restaurant. I got that. But how, if somebody wanted to talk to you about what it is to get into business or whatever it may be, the abuse that they went through, the memories that they have, if they've been in prison, is there a way that they could get in contact with you?
Absolutely. I'm on all my social media is just my name, Ria Schumacher. I'm on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. And I do read all of my private messages. I get a lot of them.
I bet you do.
And I get them even in my spam folder. I check that folder. And I get one of the ones that touched me recently was a lady who her son was being heavily bullied. And she just wanted advice on how to get him to talk to her about it as a mom, because she felt like there was stuff he wasn't telling her about what was really going on, you know. And so it's stuff like that when people reach out to me and I'm just like, man, like it's just so much stuff that happens with other people in the world, you know. And you having been that kid, you know, and just feeling like, God, this mom reaching out to me, like I'm not special.
You are special.
You know, but
you are special.
You know, it makes my heart just feel so much compassion, like for that kid. Like you read that stuff and you give your advice or you let them know what you can, but then you always wonder, God, I hope that kid got better, or I hope his mom was able to figure that out for him. So I always open my messages and I always take the time to try to read them. And when people reach out to me with those compassionate stories, I pay attention, you know, and they matter, you know, and so if you want to reach out to me, I'm always available.
You know what, Ria, I would say that looking in your life, looking in your book, looking in your soul and looking in spirit, God had something for you. No matter what hard life you had, and you had a very hard life. But through that life, God worked through you because he allowed you to be a testimony to others. He allowed you to be able to talk to people that you would have never talked to if you would have became Lucille Ball, if you would have became Cindy Crawford. You wouldn't have been able to touch the people's lives that you're touching today. So I commend you for doing that, because to me, and I don't know if you believe in God, but I know you believe in God, I would say that he had a plan for you. And his plan is laying out perfectly for your life. Maybe it didn't start in the beginning, but it's now here going through. So I would say keep your hand in everything that your hand is in, because baby, everything you touch, it looks great right now. You know, you have the 4 beautiful children. You have businesses that are great and growing. You know, what more could you really ask for? Your feet are allowed to touch the grass now. You're breathing air that's outside. You're able to see the sun anytime you want to see the sun. If you want to look up to the moon at night, you're able to do that. What greater gift could God have given you but the gift you have today? So I say thank you, thank you. I am so humbled and honored to be able to interview you because your spirit is a spirit that is beyond measure. And when I say that, my cup runneth over to be sitting here with you to allow you to talk to the people and give your story of where the truth lies. Okay?
Yeah.
Do you have anything that you want to say to anyone, anybody?
You know, I just want to say that in writing the book, I think that it probably hurt my mom's heart. And if she would ever see this interview, I would just say, I'm sorry.
I noticed you said that in the book. I'm sorry, Mom. Why are you sorry? Because you had to put her story out there?
Yeah. You know, and in telling my story, it in turn told a part of hers. You know, but it's a story that I feel like it had to be told.
Can I tell you something? You're saying, I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry. But Mom needs to say, I'm sorry, Ria, too.
Yeah.
Because Ria lived a life that Ria shouldn't have had to live. And that's where it's important for parents to understand what their children need, what they're going through. If you're in a bad situation, Mom, get us out of that situation. If it means that you have to walk away from the drugs and walk away from the men, whatever you have to do to get us out of the situation, Mom, get us out of the situation.
Yeah.
I know what it's like. I was a single parent. I told you that.
Mm-hmm.
I did what I had to do to make sure my kids were taken care of. But me, as an African-American Black woman, I had to make sure that my kids didn't live in the environment with the drugs and the whatever, the guns and all of that. Because if I put them in that environment, guess what? I made them a product of the environment.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And I never wanted to do that. I mean, I went through several houses. I've lived in several places. My kids went to several schools, and people used to laugh at my kids because they went to several schools. But you know what? They turned out all the way good because I made sure of the environment that they were in was a proper environment. Whether they lived in 31 houses or 10, they were a product of their environment and having a mother in the home as a single parent. So don't feel that you always have to be, I'm sorry, Mom. Let Mom say, Ria, I'm sorry for the life that I put you through. I'm sorry that Mom was an alcoholic. I'm sorry that Mom was using drugs. I'm sorry that Mom brought other men into your life. It's not your fault. It's not your fault, Ria. You can be sorry to Mom, but Mom needs to pick up the phone and call and say, Ria, I'm sorry to you. Has she done that yet?
No.
That is something I would say that I would be looking for. Ria's mom, be sorry to Ria. Ria was your child. Ria was the one that was 5, 10, 15. She had dreams that she wanted to fulfill. And as a parent, you as a parent could have stopped that if you just would have took the time to say, I'm sorry, Ria. I'm going to make this a better environment. It's not too late. You can still call Ria and be sorry because we all go through things as parents. We all have things that we've done that we didn't want to do. We all have our own demons on the inside of the way we feel about things and maybe going with a guy or a girl that we shouldn't have went with. But the bottom line at the end of the day is children can't speak for themselves. They need their parents to stand up. So stand up, parents, stand up. This is what it's about. Make sure that your kids don't become a product of an unsuccessful environment, but make them successful. You do it for 18 years, they go on their way, they come back and they take care of you. So start at the core. Mom, reach out and say, I'm sorry, Ria, and build that relationship because you can never get it back. If you don't start today, you'll never get it back on tomorrow. Start today. I'm sorry, Ria. I'm sorry, Ria. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Anyway, you can tell them where they can get their book because Ria Schumacher has a book. And when I tell you it's explosive, it's dominating, it's capturing, you won't put it down. You won't put it down. I promise you. But you know what? I'm going to let Mrs. Schumacher tell you about her book.
So the book took me 8 years to write. I actually started it about 2 years after I got out of prison. And I had to put it down because I got pregnant, or I was working too much. Just over the course of 8 years, I couldn't ever just sit and write. It was it was almost like therapy. Just remembering stuff and try to remembering it in the order it happened, and then it's written in a flashback sense.
Yes.
As well, which is a very challenging way to write for an author.
It was good. I was flashing back, girl.
So I did it that way because for me, that's how it happened.
Yes.
And I wanted to write it in a way that made people feel like this is what it felt like sitting here, because it's literally how it happened. And the way I remembered it, I would be sitting in the jail, and I would have these flashbacks about my childhood. And so I wanted to write it exactly like it happened. And it's just as real and honest as I can be.
As you are. How can they get the book?
So you can go to www.riaschumacher.com. And it's also on Amazon through that same link. You can get the Amazon link, or in person at the Dry Creek Saloon.
Dry Creek Saloon. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I wanted to. Guys, thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk About It with Mrs. R. We always like doing this. We always like bringing truths or bringing great stories to you. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you go out and get Ria's book, Ria Schumacher's book, Where the Truth Lies. This is it, Where the Truth Lies. Make sure you get the book. Like I said, once again, it's a dominating and capturing book. Ria, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Guys, make sure you come out to Dry Creek Saloon. Get you something to eat. It's the best food in the world. Anyway, let's talk about it with Mrs. R. That's what's hot.